I'm Craig Lee,
I'm
and that's Rob McGee, and this is Real Talk with Rob and Craig. I'm Craig Lee,
Rob McGee.
and this is Real Talk with Rob and Craig on Thursday, the 27th of June, 2024. We've been out for a while, and it's because of a few things. I had to get a new phone. My other phone was
We had equipment issues.
yeah, and so we're trying to get everything worked out where we sound better, and then I had a bad tooth, chipped tooth, and so I had to get my tooth pulled.
Yep. He's one less tooth.
I'm toothless.
Not completely.
So let's start with some dad jokes, Rob.
All right. You know, we work in the finance industry, so I thought this would be good. You know where polar bears keep their money?
No.
In a snowbank.
5 ants rented an apartment with another 5 ants.
Okay.
Do you know what they are now?
10 ants.
That's right. That's right.
That's cute.
So a couple things that I want to talk about is I'm always looking up stuff to see what in this market what we can do in any market.
Yeah.
And here's some words when you're trying to negotiate a contract. And I guess this could go with cars, motorcycles, whatever you're going to buy.
Anything you have a contract for. Yeah.
Words to not use. The first one, and it gives 15. I'm not going to list all 15 of them, but the first one is always. I don't. I'm telling you in the order that this was taken from. Can't. I understand that. Mm-hmm. I can't do it. Well, that means you don't want to do it. Final. That's an old sales technique when somebody says, "This is my final offer," or somebody buying is. This is it. This is a pet peeve for me. One of two. When somebody says honestly, or I want to be honest with you. Were you lying to me before?
If you didn't say that, were you not going to be honest?
Yeah. I can't stand that. Yeah. And I probably do it and I'm not even aware of it.
Honestly, I don't know that I've ever heard you do
that. That was kind of fun.
See?
The other one is problem. What's the problem? See, there's no problem unless somebody says there's a problem.
You're a believer. There is no problem. There may be a challenge. There may be an issue you have to overcome.
Yeah.
It's not a problem.
Right. And the last one that I'm going to tell you guys is the word try. Well, I'm trying to do this. Well, either you're going to do it or you're not. And I get there's factors involved, and I'm a weirdo about this kind of stuff. So one of the things, we're moving on past that. One of the things that to be aware, to get the actual interest rate you're being quoted, what are some of the things that you can do to get the best interest rate, whether you're buying a car, a house, a boat, whatever, improve your credit scores. Make sure you're above that 740 mark.
First thing I was going to say.
The 740 is the mark that gives you all the credits that you can through your credit score. So, I mean, if you get a 740, you're going to get the best rate based on that part of the scenario.
And somebody could have good credit with a 720 or a 700 credit
That's
score.
Great. Yeah.
But investors charge
Yeah.
a little bit more for anything under 740. Every 20 points, you pay a little bit more.
Consider a shorter term. That always helps. I know in cars, but also in mortgages. Mm-hmm. Also in your lock. So not always, but usually more than not, a 15-day is going to be better pricing than a 30-day. So you just have to weigh it out in the type of loan and so on. Yeah. Lower your debt to income ratio. If you don't know what that means, it's the amount of money you have going out compared to the amount of money you have coming in. And
Craig, that's a great point. A lot of people don't realize that investors, the people who are coming up with the money so you can buy a house or buy a car, if your debt to income ratio is higher, that is considered a layering of risk. And you could pay more for the interest rate you get if your debt to income ratio is higher than another person's, because that's less risk for the bank. Anything that presents risk for a bank, you're going to pay more for.
That's right. When somebody says, well, I was able to go buy a car. Well, let me explain the difference in buying a car and buying a home. Unless you're buying a McLaren or something, or some $500,000 car, it's much easier. And even then, it's much easier to repossess a car. And so the cost to repossess a home is pretty high.
It's high. It takes a long time.
Yeah. So my point to all this is, if you're willing to pay a higher interest rate, you're going to get your car. They don't really care. I shouldn't say it like that, but that's it's kind of how I feel.
They're looking out for their own interests.
Educate yourself on mortgage rates, and what I mean by that is you want to call around, find out what everybody's doing. Here's the big clinch though. Are they charging? Because we've been doing this a long time, so people will say, "Well, I'm getting an interest rate of 6, and you guys are charging me 6.5," and then you get what they're being actually quoted, and it's 2 or 3 points. The average right now that the top lenders are charging, according to another survey that I looked at, is 1.75%. That's just to get. And here's how that works. Most loan officers that you're going to call will say, you'll say, what's the best rate I can get? I can get you 6%.
Yep.
Okay. And then they go, would you want to go ahead and lock that in, or whatever their next closing step is?
Without divulging that
they're
upfront
not telling
fee.
you that. Well, then they're going to say stuff like this. Well, there's no out-of-pocket expense. What do you mean? Are you going to pay my mortgage for me? I mean, there's so many things to look at.
You'll be paying out of pocket for 30 years on it.
Yeah.
So we just had a client who we helped do a refinance. He paid off debt. It really improved his position. It was a great transaction for him. He received a notification in the mail because, of course, as soon as you refinance, your name's out there and you're going to get a lot of mailers. Somebody sent off a mailer saying, "Hey, we could lower your interest rate to this." Well, he called us and said, "Could this be true?" Well, Craig and I knew immediately it's not true, because that interest rate wasn't available, nowhere near for free. So we asked him to send us the offer he received in the mail. Do you remember what the upfront fee
3
was?
points, wasn't it?
4.5.
Wow.
4.5% upfront before he lowered that interest rate 1/8 of a point. In his situation, it was going to be over $30,000 in fees to get that interest rate. Do you know how long he would have to be in that loan to receive any of that back? We did a calculation. It was over 20 years to earn back that investment. So would that have been a good option for him? Absolutely not. And they send out these mailers. Always be aware of this and be cautious. If it looks too good to be true, it is. There is something hidden in that fine print. We were able to show it to him, and he said, "Well, I'd be crazy to do that." Yes, you would. You don't want to do that, but it looks really good when you first open that thing. They'll put in big, bold, red lettering, "Get this interest rate," and then hidden on the back page in tiny print. You need a magnifying glass to see it. It says, "That rate, by the way, will cost you 4.5 points up front." So,
yeah, it's a little crazy that people do that. And there's still, I mean, obviously that just happened. And we've worked with people who I consider really great loan officers that will kind of bait and switch, in my opinion, that type of scenario.
We don't understand.
And we haven't worked with them in 10 plus years, but, and I do consider that person a really good loan officer. I don't know if they're still in the business or not, but I think that's exactly what I just said. It's a bait and switch. You're not being forthright.
Right.
And when I think of people doing that, it's, well, I want to do this loan and I never want to see that person again.
right. And I hope I never see him again.
Right.
Because when they figure out what I did to him up front, they're not going to like me.
And don't, we're not that, we're never going to be like that. I think
We just don't do it that way.
I'm just saying never is right there. That's on one of the words to avoid when negotiating. But honestly, Rob, you see what I did there?
I would say people that do that, they're a problem.
They hope if it's impossible, maybe they'll never get the rate. So I'm just
He's running through all the list
Yeah.
of stuff you're not supposed to say.
So today is a big day for America, and I'm not gonna get on anything other than everyone should watch the debate.
Oh, we got a debate.
We got a
tonight. Yeah.
presidential debate. It's going to determine, a lot of people think it's going to determine who our next president is. And it's not a matter of if you're a Republican or a Democrat or a liberal or conservative, whatever you are, you're American, and you still should,
Educate yourself.
exactly. Keep in mind that this is only, I mean, it's politics. So they're going to tell probably what they think that America wants to hear.
They're going to be trying to get votes.
Yeah, and can't blame them. I mean, that's their job. But also, look at it to base your voting opinion on.
Yeah. Hey, I have something real quick to say to you
Yes.
before we wrap up. In Seattle, now we're a little south of there, but the whole Puget Sound region is feeling this equity growth and the costs of homes. In Seattle, for the first time ever, the median price, and by median, if you don't know what median means, that's a price right in the middle. Roughly half of the homes are lower. It's the average. Half the homes are higher. But the median price in Seattle hit $1 million. Now, a news outlet here in Washington did a calculation. If you were trying to buy a home that was the median price in Seattle, and you made the income average in Washington state, they calculated how much money would you have to put down likely to qualify to buy that home. I already told Craig what it was.
I can't remember.
62% down
Wow.
payment. So yep, you can buy that $1 million home, but you need $620,000 up front as a down payment. Now, obviously most people don't have that and can't do it. So what are the options? We've hit $1 million in Seattle. Well, the first easy option is get outside of Seattle. Move, look in the surrounding areas, King County, Pierce County. The median price in Tacoma is just a little over half of what the median price in Seattle is. So if you don't mind driving, commuting to work, Tacoma could be an option. Puyallup, Graham, Sumner. There's surrounding communities where homes are less expensive. But let's just say I was fiddling around with this idea. What if you have to be in Seattle for one reason or another, whether it's commute, whether it's a job requirement, whatever it is? What options could you have? And I want to encourage you to call us, and this doesn't just go for if you are looking to buy in Seattle, but we can be creative. And one of the things that you can do, there's something called a non-occupying co-borrower. That's where you have somebody else's income on the application with you. It can help you qualify for a home loan because your non-occupying co-borrower co-signs for you. But another thing to do, there are families that are starting to look at this option. Hey, we're going to buy a 4-bedroom house. We're going to split the house. 2 families will own it. Now you've got double the resources for down payment. You've got double the income for qualification. Being creative, if you want to get into home ownership and start building that equity and get the tax benefits and everything else, these are things you could consider. And
What's the everything else?
so there is appreciation value, there is tax benefit, tax write-off, and there is security in knowing that your rent won't go up.
Oh,
I came up with one.
but your taxes will.
Your taxes can go up, yeah.
Yes. I'm just messing with them. So I took his advice on the first part of that, and I moved so far out in the country that
When I go to visit Craig, I have to pack a bottle of water or something because I'll die of dehydration on the way there.
yeah, and fill up your car twice, or thankfully for him, get a charging station on the way.
Yeah.
I really did. I moved out in the country, Lana and I did, and we love it out there.
It's great out there. It's beautiful.
But here's the thing: it's not for everybody.
No.
It's a long drive every single day, to and fro. And did you hear what I did?
To and fro.
I don't know.
Wow.
It's a weird thing I just said. I would never say that normally, but I just normally, honestly,
It could be a problem if you did.
I maybe should have tried harder at the vocabulary. Anyway, do whatever you feel comfortable with. Rob lives in town. Janet lives in town. And you know, it works. I've lived in town most of my adult life.
Yep.
And
Now you live in the country.
and now I live in the country again.
And you drive by horses on the way home, and it's neat.
Horses, cows,
Yep.
and eagles.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
And eagles.
Nesting eagles.
Nesting eagles. I don't know why I'm doing this.
Making a point. Yeah.
I did not have. Anyway,
All right.
hey, I'm Craig Lee.
I'm Rob McGee.
That's Janet Roberts, and this is Real Talk with Rob and Craig. Happy 4th of July. We won't be here next week.
Yeah.
Enjoy your
Happy Independence Day.
Enjoy your Independence Day.